week's video. So as usual, this week has been hectic. Like, I barely get time to sit around and do anything. It's Thursday already. There's plenty that has been done. The crown left this week, the 151 crown, he was stoked. We also got a heap of rust repairs done. So Kyle's roof on his S13 come in quite rusty. Dave at Plus 389 supplied him a new rust panel. I guess you'd call it a rust replacement panel, which cuts out a pretty large section of the roof. He does a really good job at radiusing all the edges and folding it all over to make it look all factory, and the end result is always OEM looking sort of thing. So I've just been tasked with the rust repairs and getting it in primer. We also got a bit done on Ali's S13. So we were given the task of trying to make some universal scissor door hinges work, which they sort of did, but they also sort of didn't. Sometimes you gotta spend a bit of time to make things work to see if it will get the result that you're looking for. Unfortunately, these hinges don't work. We already spent a full day cutting and recessing, making infill panels, everything like that to get the hinge mount to sit flush with the body and get everything in alignment and whatnot. It looks great until you open the door. So the guard gaps are all sweet, everything like that. It's just the pivot point on the universal hinge is less than ideal for these S13s. They're not very wide in the sense between the pillar and the guard opening, so generally you can't get a lot of rotation out of the hinge, and unfortunately you gotta spend some time to work out that things sometimes don't work. So yeah, these are the scissor hinges that I was talking about. So these come as a universal kit. I'm not sure where they're from, probably China. But yeah, they're, in the sense, it allows the hinge to pivot out this way and then rotate up. So the problem that we have with this one is once the guard's flush with the door, there's very minimal room in between the guard and this hinge to allow it to like come out before it can articulate up. The other problem we have is the universal strut. You have to run two of them. One isn't enough to lift the door and two is too much. Even now at this height, it's like the lower that goes, that's gonna hit. These have nowhere else to mount. When the hinge articulates out, these actually get really close together, and if you move them further over, it's just pushing the door down more, pushing the hinge down more, which then lifts the door up substantially when you open it. A good example is, as it comes out, it just like lifts the door up substantially, and to get it to close again, you gotta push it back down. But once the door's open, which is quite difficult in itself, the problem we run into is this is already hitting on here. So the guard is, 80 mil off the sill panel already, and that's that bracket there. And this hasn't even got to the point where it'll allow it to articulate up. So even once this gets to the point, once it comes up, everything starts hitting here. So unfortunately, just the pivot point location, and even this, like, it just doesn't allow this to work in this scenario. Like, it looks great, it looks sick, but this has come down to a fail. So it's not the end of the idea in general. We have looked into the vertical doors kits, which actually mount to the OEM locations, and then you just mount onto the door. It changes the pivot point to pretty high up, like it's way up here, which allows the door to sort of rotate off that point, which clears everything. So hopefully that kit will arrive soon and we can fit that one instead of this. I mean, props to anybody that can make this work, but I've spent already, 8 to 10 hours getting this where it is now, and it still doesn't work as it should. As I said, sometimes you gotta put in the effort to make things work, or find out whether or not they're going to work, and in this case it didn't work. So back to the drawing board, go again, maybe try a different bracket style, and yeah, we'll end up with scissor doors eventually. Also got a bit of work done on Rob's S13s. There's a little NA S13, a little Q's model. This thing's pretty simple, pretty basic. Little NA S13, heap of repairs. It had lots of kinks and wobbles and ripples, and we just run the block over all of it. Pretty much get it to this point, and then it'll be high fill prime, and then we re-block again just to get everything nice and straight. The rear screen still has to come out. It's got a little bit of rust in one of the corners, which will be a pretty easy fix. But yeah, do also have the Civic in for a manual swap. I've been collecting parts for it over 12 months now. Gearboxes and buying new clutches and pedals and manual ECUs, all that sort of stuff, but that's pretty much all together, ready to go in. There will be a little bit of custom stuff which I might show, but yeah, that's another thing to do this week. Always plenty to do.
I'll do the bonnet and
Oh, oi. I'm so glad I got that up. Brother! She's not even glued in.
wow. You reckon that's
Yeah. See this way too often, not just S13s, but a lot of S chassis in general. These just are more predominant because they're older, but over time, this car's actually had a quarter panel put on it. There's a join through here, there was a bit of bog, and you can see the inside's black as well. But a lot of times, guys, when they cut the glass out, they nick the metal. They get underneath the sticker and hit the metal along the window frame. And then once you put sticker back over that, sticker's extremely corrosive to bare metal. So anytime sticker touches bare metal, it will rust, and you get all these little holes and edges and all this shit. Stop putting sticker on your cars. This shit will rust everything. Someone's obviously done this to stop a water leak, and now everything's rusty through here. It can turn a small job into a big one real quick. So as you've seen, the window wasn't even in properly. That's probably what the water leak was, whereas now it's the job's a lot worse than what it should have been. Managed to get all the Civic manual stuff in. Spent quite a few hours yesterday, finished at like 11, but yeah, pretty much full manual swap done. It's got a new clutch, new throw out bearing, new pilot bearing, new slave, and then pretty much an S20 gearbox. Already had new shafts in, obviously all factory shifter linkages. They're pretty straightforward. You just basically drill out two little holes, all mounts up. These all got pins that go in. I did get hung up on one of the bolts. It took me ages to get one of these out. It was like all bound up and threads were all how you going, and lost a lot of time on separating the ball joints to get the CV shafts out, to get the box out. But knowing what I know now, I could probably get this down to like a 2.5, 3 hour manual swap, start to finish, drive in, drive out sort of thing. Thought I had everything, but unfortunately I got stitched up with a gearbox mount that wasn't quite the same. so I need to find another one of them or modify that. Probably end up just modifying it. The starter motor is also different, different PCD in the bolt width, so need to sort one of them as well. And I also realized the clutch line that I have, it was kinked and snapped, so another one of them. That's holding me up at the moment, but we'll get that sorted. Now, I've never done one of these manual swaps before, so this was not a learning curve, but it was interesting to know how everything goes together and whatnot. As I said, it was like a 5-6 hour install at this stage. I would be done, but the starter motor and engine mounts held me up. All the shifter, clutch pedal, everything like that's in. I could probably, as I said, narrow this down to like a 2.5-3 hour install if you were, you know, somewhat mechanically minded and understood how things work. It's everything goes together quite easy, and they're really easy to work on. So get those few extra parts. I've got some rear lower arms to put in and some adjustable camber arms to the rear just to get the wheel sitting a bit nicer. But yeah, hopefully you get that done maybe this week, maybe next week, we'll see. These little tools are great for doing hard lines and stuff like that, except for when you're a clown like me and you don't put the nut on before you flare the end of it. Oh dear. Try that again. It's pretty easy. Option 0, square it all off. Lock the line in. Option 1. Spin her around. Option 2. There you go. Double flared end. Pulling it here. Run out of parts, run out of time. I need to go get bolts. I still have to do the engine mount on one side. Clutch line is done. That all runs down along. Yeah. On the plus side, did get to take the Impala out for a run. We went and seen DJ from Lowriders Australia. Awesome dude. It's good what he does for all the lowrider scene. I'm still new to it all, but yeah, hopefully maybe even next week might do like a build breakdown or something like that on the car and what's in it and how it works, because a lot of guys ask me the question of, you know, how it all works and what it does and what's involved and all that sort of stuff. So stay tuned.